Some passions emerge like a sudden storm, intense, overwhelming, impossible to control. People fall deeply in love when they feel, in that precise moment, that they've found someone who fills a void they didn't even know existed. It's a connection that transcends logic and is rooted in sensations that feel larger than life itself. The heart races, plans intertwine, dreams blend together, and everything takes on a new meaning. This passion consumes both mind and body, creating a kind of emotional addiction. And when it ends, even if the relationship has become toxic, unbalanced, or simply unsustainable, the memory of what was experienced lingers like a movie on repeat. The mind begins to romanticize the good moments and overlook the signs of wear and tear, feeding a false hope that if they try again, everything will be just like it was, or even better. This desire to repeat the past is a common emotional trap. The person isn't truly in love with who the other is now, but with what they represented during a specific moment in their life. It's as if that story was left unfinished, as if something still needs to be resolved, a conclusion that never came. And because of that, life remains on pause. The days go by, new possibilities arise, but the heart stays chained to an idea, a memory, a what if. The pain of loss merges with the hope of a new beginning, and many ignore the signs that moving forward is necessary. The attachment to the past can be so strong that it prevents someone from seeing the present clearly. They reject new opportunities, comparing everything to what they once had, trying to relive moments that, no matter how beautiful they were, belong to a time that no longer exists. In this way, love becomes a nostalgic prison disguised as hope. Amid the golden years of the 1920s, when luxury, jazz, and extravagance ruled New York's nightlife, The Great Gatsby introduces us to a world that sparkles on the outside, but is corroded within. The story is narrated by Nick Carraway, played by Tobey Maguire, an aspiring writer who moves to Long Island and becomes the neighbor of the mysterious and eccentric millionaire Jay Gatsby, portrayed by Leonardo DiCaprio. Gatsby is known for his lavish parties, filled with strangers, champagne, and secrets. But behind his wealth and the spotlight lies a quiet obsession. Daisy Buchanan, played by Carey Mulligan, a past love he is desperate to win back. Daisy, married to the arrogant and unfaithful Tom Buchanan, portrayed by Joel Edgerton, lives a life of privilege and emotional emptiness. The plot revolves around this desperate attempt to repeat the past, exposing the excesses and illusions of a generation that believed happiness could be bought with wealth and appearances, not so different from our own times. Jay Gatsby, portrayed with intensity and melancholy, represents the distorted American dream. A man who climbs the social ladder at any cost, driven by an idealized and unattainable passion. Nick Carraway, the impartial observer, serves as the story's anchor and the one who slowly begins to see through the hypocrisy and superficiality of the elite around him. Daisy, in turn, is the symbol of beauty and fragility, but also of indecision and selfishness. Tom Buchanan embodies toxic privilege, violence masked as masculinity, and the arrogance of someone born at the top of society. The supporting characters, like Jordan Baker and Myrtle Wilson, help build a setting where morality and ambition collide, revealing the human complexity behind the fake smiles and sparkling dresses. Each of these characters contributes to the dreamlike and tragic atmosphere that surrounds Gatsby, making his journey even more moving and symbolic. Jay Gatsby is the perfect portrait of an obsession disguised as hope. For 5 long years, he devoted every second of his life to a single goal: to win back Daisy Buchanan, the woman who symbolized not just a love from the past, but the promise of a perfect future. Gatsby didn't just wait. He meticulously orchestrated his social rise, amassed wealth, and built a luxurious mansion right across from Daisy's house, just to be close, just to be seen. His extravagant parties, which drew crowds of people who didn't even know him, were merely bait, a desperate attempt to make Daisy appear. His fortune, his image of success, his enigmatic behavior, everything was shaped to recreate that brief moment of happiness they had shared years ago. But what Gatsby failed to realize is that time changes people, and what he was trying to recover may never have been real in the way he remembered it. To Gatsby, the past wasn't just a memory. It was a non-negotiable obsession. He believed blindly that it was possible to erase the mistakes, ignore the present, and pick up exactly where they left off. He wanted Daisy to say she never loved Tom, that everything she lived after they parted was just a temporary mistake, but reality was far more complex. Daisy, though moved by the reunion, was not willing to give up her comfortable life. She was fragile, indecisive, shaped by luxury and afraid of losing her social status. And Gatsby, even in the face of this, kept insisting, believing he could save that love with the same determination that built his empire. He couldn't, or wouldn't, accept that some things can't be recovered. His desire was so strong, it blinded him. He sacrificed everything for an idealized version of Daisy, for a crystallized memory that only existed in his mind. Gatsby's tragic end is both painful and inevitable. When Daisy indirectly causes the death of Myrtle Wilson, her husband's mistress, Gatsby silently takes the blame, protecting her like a true martyr of his own dream. While he waits for a sign that Daisy still loves him, that she will choose him, he remains alone. Until George Wilson, Myrtle's grief-stricken husband, takes his life, believing Gatsby was responsible for the tragedy. No crowd shows up to the funeral. None of the guests from his lavish parties, not even Daisy, pay their respects. Only Nick Carraway, his one true friend, attends the funeral, ironically, the poor man ignored by the elite. But he was the only one who truly understood the hypocrisy of a superficial upper class more concerned with appearances than with genuine connections. Gatsby dies alone, a victim of his own illusion. His story is a cruel reminder that the past cannot be recreated, no matter how much money, charm, or effort is invested. His end is a mirror of human fragility, the tendency to romanticize what's gone, to hold on to what can't return, and to forget that sometimes loving someone is really just a way of trying to recover a part of yourself that you lost along the way. The central message of The Great Gatsby is a subtle yet powerful critique of the so-called American dream. The idea that anyone can achieve happiness and success through hard work unravels as Gatsby, despite his wealth and charm, never manages to obtain what he truly desires: genuine love and authentic acceptance. He built his empire on appearances, on soulless parties, and on a romantic fantasy that never really existed. The film, like F. Scott Fitzgerald's novel, leads us to reflect on the illusion that the past can be recovered, and how the endless pursuit of status, wealth, and external validation can end up destroying us. Amid the glitter and the decay, we're left with the existential emptiness of a generation trying to find meaning in all the wrong places. A timeless lesson about the fragility of dreams and the harshness of reality. Overcome by emotion, Gatsby refused to accept that his chance had passed and that Daisy, though she once loved him, chose the comfort of wealth over being with someone who had nothing. In the end, not only did he die for someone who no longer had the courage to stand by him, he also wasted a large part of his life chasing an illusion. At 30 years old, Gatsby was a handsome, intelligent, and wealthy young man who could have had almost any woman. But by clinging to a past love, one who was now married to another man, he threw away his entire life for a fantasy. Blinded by emotion and stubbornness, he refused to accept that his moment with Daisy belonged to the past. Even knowing she had once loved him, he couldn't see that she ultimately chose the safety and luxury that came with marrying Tom Buchanan. For Daisy, love mattered, but it never outweighed the fear of giving up her comfortable life. Gatsby, on the other hand, refused to see that truth. He clung to a romantic, almost childlike notion that effort and persistence could turn back time. And because of that belief, he died for someone who, in the end, didn't have the courage to choose him. Ultimately, it wasn't just Gatsby's life that ended. It was his dream, painstakingly built over years, that silently collapsed with him. At 30, Gatsby had everything many would consider enough for a fulfilled life: beauty, intelligence, charisma, and wealth. He was the kind of man who could have had the world at his feet. But instead of moving forward, using all of that to create new paths and real relationships, he held on tightly to a past passion, one that had taken a different course, belonged to a different story, and was already claimed by someone else. Daisy was married, bound to a world she wasn't willing to leave. Even so, Gatsby chose to live inside a carefully constructed fantasy where it was still possible to turn back time, erase mistakes, and start over from where they left off. And into that illusion, he poured every cent, every gesture, every day. In the end, what remained was a man who, despite having everything, died alone, betrayed by his own expectations. Gatsby wasn't defeated by Tom or by Daisy, but by the illusion that love, on its own, could conquer time and reality. The Great Gatsby offers a powerful and painful lesson. No matter how much we wish it, the past cannot be recreated. Jay Gatsby spends years feeding the idea that he could go back, erase everything that had separated him and Daisy, and rebuild that love exactly as it once was. But reality is merciless. People change, circumstances evolve, and time waits for no one. The film shows, with both tenderness and tragedy, that living trapped in the past prevents us from seeing the present, let alone building the future. As Gatsby tries to revive an old feeling, the world around him keeps moving forward, indifferent to his efforts. He's the only one standing still, stuck in a loop of hope and denial, ignoring all signs that the past is gone for good. This message becomes even clearer in the contrast between the characters. Nick Carraway, the narrator, watches everything with a mix of fascination and sadness, realizing how Gatsby clings to an impossible dream while reality eats away at him. Daisy, meanwhile, represents what's been left in the past, a romantic ideal that no longer exists, a memory more beautiful than the actual person. Gatsby's tragic ending is a silent warning. We must learn to accept life as it is, with all its losses, imperfections, and hard choices. There's no rewriting the past, and clinging to it only brings pain and frustration. The real challenge is learning to let go, to release what won't return and move forward with courage. The film invites us to reflect on the importance of being present, valuing the now, and building a future based on truth, not on fantasies that exist only in our memory.